Your own body is like a vessel to move through life. It is something that gives you a tool in order to express consciousness on this earth. That's why when you become more grounded, when you become more rooted in yourself and rooted in your body, you raise your vibration because you use the tool as intended. And it can seem quite easy, right? It can seem that, oh, everyone does it, but only few people do it. Usually we have this separation of our mind from the body. You think thoughts throughout the day. You believe certain ideas about where you should go, where you should end up, how your life should unfold. You constantly compare yourself to others. How is she dressed? How am I dressed? How do I look? What do these people think about me? How do I impress them? How do I get that job? So you take your mind and you create an illusion with your mind that is separate from the body, when in fact, our mind is the same as the body. Even scientists now discover that the brain is basically the body itself, like the body is an extension. It all works all together. All your emotions, they stem from molecules that go from your brain, that start in your brain, and then go into your body. Only when you become present, only when you get rid of those thoughts, you're actually rooted in yourself. You're rooted in your body. When you think, what other people think about me? How do I act so this guy likes me? How do I get so I impress my boss and get a promotion? You literally stop being yourself because you move your point of observation, or you intend to move your point of observation from yourself to another body. So you stop seeing what you're supposed to see. You stop perceiving things from your perspective, and instead you try to perceive them from a perspective of someone else. This is how you stop being yourself, because you're only truly yourself when you get rid of those thoughts, when you get rid of those comparisons. This is when you perceive things with your own eyes. If you can get to the point in your life through the inner work where you only see what is right now in front of you, when you only think about the thing that you are doing. In other words, if you can get to the point where your mind is not detached from your body, this is when you fulfill the mission that your body was given you for, because you reach the point where you're fully yourself. So the expression of life that is meant to manifest through you, through your body, is finally manifested. You can think of the body as just a ship that lets you float on this earth. And then you can imagine the consciousness as not separated from the collective consciousness, because we're all just life. This is also where you get to the point of love, because only once you're rooted in your body, once you're rooted in yourself, you truly love yourself. And here, I want you to shift your paradigm about the self love. Because usually, when people say self love, they imply, I love myself for certain achievements, or I love myself so I take care of myself, or I love myself so I will provide the best life for myself and my children that I possibly can. But this is not love. This can be an expression of love. This is something that can follow from the state of love. But the state of love is the unconditional acceptance of yourself as you are. So if you do not care about being dressed up, you do not dress up. If you do not care about financial achievements, you do not feel bad when someone who has more financial success talks down on you or confronts you about your lack of security. This is when you feel good about yourself, when you stop judging yourself, when you stop evaluating yourself. So, in other words, true self love is not that I love myself and therefore I do this, and that. I love myself and therefore I'm gonna achieve this, and that. And I'm gonna take care of myself a certain way. No. True self love is when you abandon this process altogether, when it doesn't even cross your mind to start thinking about yourself this way, to compare yourself to other people, because you are simply being yourself. So remember, you do not change your point of observation. You remain in yourself. When you truly remain in yourself, that's why love comes to you. Because you do not bother anymore to ask these questions. You do not bother anymore to even think those thoughts. And even if they come, you just witness them. They come in waves and then they go. You understand that this is something that your brain is programmed to do, that it was used to do. And at some point, you will start perceiving it as simple noise, irrelevant noise that comes and that goes. And then, from that point, you will get to the point where that noise will no longer bother you because it will know that you are now immune to it, that you do not hear it. But this is when you love yourself. So you start doing things that you're supposed to do through that love. Whatever you put out is what you get back. Only from that state can you be successful in terms of your own life. You cannot get to a certain external manifestation of your achievement. So you cannot achieve something when you are trying to achieve it from the place of fighting the negative. So if you're stuck in poverty and you desperately try to get out, you will not get out. If you are suffering because you do not have a loving relationship in your life and you try to find a partner, you will not find that partner because you can only switch to, let's say, a higher level of life when you switch that vibration inside of you. When you're trying to find the negative, what happens is that you're on the same level as that negative. So your vibration cannot be higher. That's why you cannot manifest anything better than what you already have in the external. Only when you let it go altogether and when you create from the state of abundance, you can actually manifest something in the external that's gonna be better than the thing that you tried to run away from, because you're not running away from anything anymore. You're simply switching, you're elevating your vibration. This is why it only comes to you when you do not chase it anymore. So you have to rise in your self love, in your state of abundance, in order to create something beautiful for yourself. When you are capable of creating, you are forgetting those external gratifications altogether. In other words, you stop doing things for money, you stop doing things for love, you stop doing things to get validation. You are doing them because this is simply who you are and you are happy with yourself, you are satisfied with yourself. So, this is the product of your creation. And paradoxically, when you're forgetting about those external gratifications, this is when they come to you because they become attracted to you. Because those things, they are simply like a complement to what you already have inside. The government can never win the fight with the drug dealers. It can never win the fight with murder, with any kind of sexual assault. Why? Because the government fights it. The government fights it, and that's why it operates from the same vibration that it is trying to destroy. On top of that, if you look at Amsterdam, for example, where prostitution is legal, you will find out that it is actually one of the safest cities in Europe. You will find out that there is low murder rate. Because instead of fighting the thing that is seemingly negative that people complain about, the government just let it be. The government elevated from that state. And that's why they could create something more beautiful. That's why also it is often the case that parents who are homophobic have their children who are gay. Because they attract in their consciousness. This is their lesson. And you can look at it at many different ways, right? Including the karmic lessons, including something that is just their karma in life. But it all follows the same law that what you put out, this is what you get back. People who are very preoccupied with their health, who go to a doctor, I don't know, every once in a month or something, they often get diseases, something that they put so much effort to get away from, because this is in their field. Also, if you look at many stories about the curation of diseases that is present for a long time in the body, you will find out that that disease goes away as soon as the person is forgetting about that disease, as soon as the person just switches the attention and becomes present. This is the healing of the body with spiritual means. This is something that also happened to me with my back. When you become present, you have the power of detaching from your identity. You have the power of detaching from your personality. When you are inside of your identity, when you're inside of your personality, you have many attachments. You perceive yourself as basically stuck in the net of what happened in the past, what's going to happen in the future, all your relationships to all the people around you. And that's why, instead of being open to numerous possibilities in your life, something that is famously called the quantum field, you're stuck in the linear perception of yourself. Because imagine yourself literally being tied to all those perceptions in your consciousness. I was bullied at school, I failed my first exam, my best friend got to a best university and I didn't do that. That girlfriend didn't like me. I dream of becoming successful because otherwise I'm a failure. I dream of buying that house. I am 30 already, but I do not have all of those possessions. So imagine all of those thoughts being literally like standpoints, like hooks. And you have this rope with which you are tied to those hooks. You cannot move. You are stuck. You cannot move forward, you cannot move back, and you end up just being in the same situation. This is why the future, unless you do the inner work, will repeat its past, because you are stuck inside of your identity. But the more you get out of it, the more you literally cut these ropes, the more you're able to actually move. And one of the manifestations of this law, of this model, is the miraculous cure of diseases. Because many of the diseases, not all, but many of the diseases are provoked by that imbalance in the body, by the life force, chi, prana, in different traditions, not flowing through your body. So it creates blockages. That's why when you finally cut the ropes, when you step out of your identity, the more present you become, the more you heal yourself and you let that life force just flow through you. And this is why such diseases, everything that is not from God, that is not part of your past, right? I'm talking here, there are people who have cancer, who cured cancer, and who now have foundations in order to help other people overcome it. There are people who have certain disabilities, but they excel in sports and they serve as inspiration to other people. This is a part of their past. This is life creating a vessel on earth that is more challenging to succeed in, but that has a certain path to it. So this kind of diseases, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about everything that is artificially, let's say, created, that is created by a bug, by you not being yourself. All of that can be cured. It is impossible that it is not cured, because when you start approaching things that way, instead of fighting the effect, you eliminate the cause. And you eliminate the cause without fighting it. You simply bring light to the darkness. And light is always sufficient to destroy any darkness by a mere fact of its existence. So this is exactly what happens. So love is the ultimate force of the universe. It is something so powerful that can simply, like this, combat all the negative effects of fear, of guilt, of shame, of the things that are opposite to love. And you gain that love, you gain access to it when you finally accept your point of observation as the only one that you have interest in, as the only one that you actually can comprehend and that you actually have access to. Because in truth, it has always been like this. This is the only point of observation that you can never have access to. This is also the point in which you stop having interest in other people's life. You stop having this desire to follow people on social media, to understand what they're doing, how they're moving in life, and to copy them. In fact, all those people that you feel drawn to in the beginning, maybe those are the celebrities that you follow, that you want to study, that you want to repeat the success of. They actually just embody the successful realization of certain archetypes that are present in yourself as well. So while you're on that journey, while you're not there yet, as soon as you feel that attraction to somebody, whether it is a celebrity, right, that you want to follow them, that you love them, that you admire them, or it is another person, someone with whom you have a certain relationship that you cannot get out of your mind, that you feel that you cannot live without that person. What you have to do is that you have to integrate the qualities that they have developed in themselves into yourself. This is how you become more powerful. So do not try to run away from it. Do not think, oh, I admire that celebrity so much, or I follow that celebrity so much, or I cannot live with that guy, I cannot live without that girl. Do not try to block yourself, to stop yourself from feeling those feelings because they are there for a reason. Instead, you have to live through them, you have to integrate them, and you have to use them as intended because they are all simply reflecting the vibration back to you. And if you lack something within yourself, it will manifest as you lack in something in the external. The same way that you cannot create anything successful from the vibration of lack. The same way you cannot create anything successful when you're immersed in the environment of lack. This is why oftentimes, in order for you to strive, you simply have to move out of a certain house. You simply have to move out of a certain district where you are submerged in that negative vibration, when you are submerged in that energetic field of lack, where everyone is just trying to gain something for themselves, being selfish, operating from anger, operating from desire, operating from pride, from those egocentric feelings, egocentric qualities. You will not be able to strive in there, even if your intentions are pure. And the reason why is because when you are submerged into that environment, people who are victims, who are representatives of that environment, they will not like your pure intentions. They will not even see them. They will perceive everything through their own filter. And when they do so, and they see that you refuse to also act from lack, they will try to put you down. They will try to unconsciously do so. They will try to basically put you in the same cage that they are in, and you will be energetically drained. So, what will happen to you, who is not like that, who does not belong there, you will try to get out. So, now you will put all your power, you will put all your effort in order to get out of there. And this is how you lower your vibration. Because again, instead of creating from pure love, instead of creating from abundance, you will try fighting what is already there. You will try to do certain things in order to get out of that environment. You will try to do certain things in order to show something to these people or in order not to be like that. You have to first get to a place where you are neutral. You have to first get to a place where you feel like at home with yourself, where you feel yourself, where you can recognize your desires, where you can feel yourself without those external distractions, external noises. When you are in such environment where you don't belong, you will attach to the external reality. You will perceive it as too real. You will not be able to get rid of those thoughts in your head and be yourself because you're initially not in the place where you are yourself. This is not your path. So, whenever you are in the place that you have to force yourself to stay in, that you have to explain to yourself why you're there, you have to get out. And life will give you an opportunity to get out. If you just keep working on yourself, a certain miracle will happen. Either you will get the money, or you will get the job, or you will get an offer from someone, or you will meet someone. It will happen for you. You just have to stay with your eyes open. And as soon as that opportunity comes in, you have to seize the moment. You have to get rid of the fear and you have to act out of yourself. You have to stop being scared and you have to know that as soon as you go away, you will be all right. Do not think, oh my God, what if I will have to come back? No. All the people on planet Earth are managing to establish their lives, and you will manage that too, because it is not hard. It is, in fact, very easy, especially when you follow yourself. You're just taught to believe that it is hard. No situation is hard. No situation is difficult. As soon as you perceive a situation to be this way, you have to reevaluate what you believe in, what is there in your consciousness, which one out of these ropes that you are attached with to your hooks is telling you, is dictating that the situation is difficult, because it is one of them. No situation is difficult by itself. Every situation has a solution. The situation can only be perceived as difficult if you believe something about yourself, if you believe you live in lack, if you believe that you cannot overcome it, that you cannot get through it, that you cannot create something more beautiful for yourself. Only then it is difficult. This is why you're stuck in the situation where you sacrifice yourself, where you do certain things in order to be normal, in order to fit in the paradigm that is considered good in your duality. And when you sacrifice yourself, you get away from love, because love cannot coexist with sacrifice. Love is free of any sacrifice. And the more you sacrifice yourself, the more you actually develop this disdain inside of yourself. You develop the disdain towards yourself, towards the circumstances, towards the people that have put you in the cage, seemingly put you in the cage, even though it is you who is willingly stepping in that cage. Similarly, the more you develop love within yourself, the more you develop love towards others, the more you act from love, the more your capacity to love grows. You will get to the levels of love that you didn't even know were possible as soon as you start developing it within yourself, as soon as you start going with the flow, as soon as you start following your heart, as soon as you create from a place of abundance. When you altruistically give yourself to others, and again, by no means I mean sacrifice, when you act from pure love towards others, this is when your love grows inside. In Kabbalistic teachings, they compare it with a lamp that you have inside. Imagine a lamp having a restriction of 60 kilowatts. It cannot give more love because it can only do 60. It cannot do more than that. But then the lamp that is growing in its power and can now do 200 is capable of giving more love. And it works the other way around as well. The more light you give, the more your lamp grows, because it has no other choice but to grow, because you're already lighting up so much of the space around of yourself. This is how you move up in your vibration. This is how you raise. And this is how you start creating accordingly. And the whole world, the whole reality bends according to the new you. But the paradox is that for you to raise up your vibration, you have to expand your awareness to be aware of that possible vibration, of the existence of that vibration, of the existence of this new version of you that creates those things. But awareness doesn't just expand one way, it always expands both ways. So for you to really move up, for you to really start creating from love, you will first have to submerge in the darkness. This is why people say that the most beautiful times come from the biggest suffering, because you first have to acknowledge, you have to be aware of what you do not like, of what you do not prefer. You have to become aware of how that environment you're in is affecting you, of how those people you're in are affecting you, of how your own intentions are affecting the output, of how you're creating from lack. You first have to recognize that in order to decide for yourself that this is not something that you would want. This is why also in Jinkies, for example, Richard Rudd is saying that for you to come up to the gift, to come up to the city, you first have to emerge into the shadow. You first have to dive deep into the shadow, and you dive deeper, 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 and deeper. You immerse yourself in it, and then you rise up. So hold on there, and the great times will come for you if you just use the bad times as a lesson, as something that is a reflection of you and that is trying to tell you something. And if you do the inner work that comes from those lessons, this is how you will start moving up and how you will actually detach from other points of observations and start becoming yourself.